Welcome back to a Jupiter video. Today, we're going to be doing a question from the Senior Maths Challenge 2022. Just this year, it was actually in this month, earlier in this month. There's 25 questions. These are for any secondary school people, or primary school if you're feeling brave enough. But, it's meant to be very challenging. So we're gonna look at one of the harder questions. If you don't like math, or if you think you're not good enough, well, don't worry, because how do you get this thing off? But anyways, let's begin. And don't worry if you don't think you're good at maths, because I will talk you through this. I don't know how to yeah, sure. But now I can't type anything. This is very weird. Anyways, let's start. On Google Docs, you can do something. You can add an equation. So we are gonna do that. And we're gonna start off by writing out this equation. Just doing that. I see this is gonna be annoying. So this is the first line of our equation. This is just what the question gives us. Notice how this says integers, so that's something we should be looking out for. So we see there's 2 square roots on the left hand side, and 2 square roots is honestly pretty annoying. So in our next step, maybe we should try to get rid of the square roots. So if I just insert that. So what we're doing here is we're squaring both sides. You can do that to an equation. And now we can now simplify the right hand side by expanding the brackets. It looks a bit hairy expanding the brackets, but it's simply just, we can actually copy and paste this over here. So first you do 2 root 2 squared, and that's 8. And then you have to do minus y squared, which is minus y times minus y makes positive y squared. 2 minuses times to make a plus. And you now have to do 2 square root 2 times y times minus y, and you have to do that twice. Since if I were to demonstrate. So this is basically 2 square root 2 squared and then minus y squared and then plus 2 root 2 times, this dot means times, for anyone who's wondering. I also don't know why there's a random brackets here. And then you have to plus minus y times 2 root 2. So yeah, that's what 2y minus y squared is. So we can actually put here, because 2 root 2 times minus y, and then you do that again, that's going to be minus 4y root 2. I have a bit of a cough, so I'm sorry about that. This next bit is gonna have to, it's gonna have to, you know, have a bit of like understanding. You need to now realize that a plus y squared equals to x. I'm like, okay, but how do you know? Because they're integers. And so the root x plus 23 is not an integer. And the only bit which is not an integer in the right hand side of the equation is 4y root 2, because we're given that x and y are integers. So we know that root x plus 23 is not going to be an integer, or is likely not going to be an integer. So we know 4y root 2, or you can put it 4y root 2 won't be an integer, and so root x plus 23 is not going to be an integer. So we can put 4y root 2 is not an integer, therefore root x plus 23 equals 4y root 2. And also x, actually a key point is this is minus, and x plus 8y squared, no, I mean x equals 8 plus y squared. And so now we basically have simultaneous equations. We can square the first equation, this equation. We can square both sides of this to get x plus 23. Oh, go away. Equals 32y squared. 32y squared. Now, if you're wondering why it's 32y squared, you square all of it. So 4 becomes 16, square 2 squares to become 2, and y becomes y squared. So that's, if you times 16 y squared and 2, you get 32y squared. On the left hand side, if you square a negative number, you get a positive number. It might be hard to wrap your head around this, but like, we're getting to the spicy stuff. And next, we're given that x, we can even make it x minus y squared, just so you have the x and y's on the left hand side, equals 8. You can do the same with here too, so like saying x minus 32y squared equals 23. Now we have a new equation. So notice how the question does not ask us for the solutions. we just want to know how many solutions there are. And the pairs of solutions. So like if let's say x is 1 and y is 2, that's a solution. But if x is 1 and y equals to 4, and that works, that's a different solution. So you have to be careful when you're thinking about pairs of solutions, because they're unique pairs. You may think that 1 and 2 and 2 and 1 are the same, but they're actually different solutions, and you just have to understand that. But in here, this is now a simultaneous equation. Basically, what a simultaneous equation is if you have two variables and two solutions, you can basically manipulate the equations to cancel out one of the variables. And in this case, the manipulation is not very hard. Let's call this solution, let's call this 1. I'm gonna call this 2. So when I say 1 and 2, I mean equation 1 and equation 2. Now, you can do a simple thing and get, let me just make sure. It turns out we have made a crucial mistake. This is meant to be minus 23. The reason it's meant to be minus 23, oh my god, the Google Docs, stop being annoying. The reason this is minus 23 is because, remember here, well, we had x plus 23 equals to 32y squared. Now, since the 32y squared is now on the left hand side and 23 is on the right hand side, the 23, because we're subtracting 23 from both sides, you have to have a minus 23, not plus 23. And so now this makes more sense. Because otherwise we would have had weird stuff, which I won't get into. But now we can simply get 31y squared equals 31. What? How? Well, this is just equation 2 minus equation 1. Because x minus y squared minus x minus 32y squared equals to 8 minus minus 23. It's basically like saying, A equals to B, C equals to D, so C minus A equals to D minus B. This seems pretty logical, right? We've done the exact same thing here. And this is what we mean by manipulating. We basically got the x right out of here. Now we only have the y's. And this is actually a very nice solution. Y squared equals 1. And what about x in this case? Well, it turns out that x equals to 9. And so if I were to ask you, what is the answer? So what letter is the answer? A, B, C, D, E, and why? I'll give you 10 seconds to pause. So some of you might have gone, oh well, x is 9, y is 1, and it's just simply B. And whilst it is B, not really. It's a bit more complicated than that. Because anyone who anyone who is proficiently good at maths will realize that in y squared equals 1, and this is what this is what I was talking about. You have y equals to 1 and y equals to minus 1, because minus 1 squared is also 1. But like, now we have two solutions. We have 9 and 1 and 9 and minus 1. And so how does this work? And we have forgotten a very important principle. And that principle is the check. And so now we check our answers. Sorry for the caps lock. Now we check our answers, because okay, no, this is actually not that bad to check. 9 minus, let's use the equation. 9 minus root 32, well, because we know x is definitely 9. Equals 2 root 2 minus 1 and something went wrong. Okay, so the question is this minus 1 or plus 1? And this really just uses common sense. If this is oh my god, what is this? If this is plus 1, then where does the minus come in on the left hand side? This would become 2 square root 2 squared is 9, 8 I mean. 1 squared is 9, 2 square root 2 plus 1, plus 1 times 2 square root 2. That makes 9 plus 4 square root 2. And 4 square root 2 is square root 32, by the way, because I just want to clarify. Root 32 equals this equation thing equals root 16 times 2 equals root 16 times root 2, and this equals to 4 root 2. And this is something we call surds. So we can check that 9 minus 4 root 2 does not equal to 2 root 2 plus 1. Now if we get rid of the plus and replace it with a minus, now it suddenly becomes 9 minus 4 square root 2, and that is 9 minus square root 32. And so actually, we figure out that y equals 1 does not work. And only y equals minus 1 works. And so now, we can simply say y equals minus 1. And this is the reason why there is only one solution. At SMC level, you can just say it's one solution, and it's pretty guessable. But in Olympiad level, this is what you have to do. And honestly, this is a pretty nice solution. It might be hard to wrap your head around it, but like, if you manage to get this far, I applaud you. and I would also encourage you to like and subscribe.